What's going on, good people out there in YouTube land? It is the Bad Wolf, the Bad Mama Jamma himself, the Daywalker. So, all right, check it out. So, it is a hot one today. Um, so hopefully you guys are staying hydrated and cool if possible out there, unless you love the heat. I love the heat. However, I don't like it shell level hot, and it's about where it's at. All right. When even the AC is like, look, man, I'm getting a little tired. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. So all right. So from one of our viewers out there, I don't know if this particular person wants their name and information put out there. So we'll just call them 4G. All right, they'll know who they are. All right, so they provided me with a little excerpt from a book called Cooperative Federalism by Gerald Brown. All right, so we're going to have the AI read what was in the email that was sent to me. And this particular section is on diversity of citizenship. So, in case I have to say it, fair use and we're things read, guests on our show, information we provide are not to be construed as absolute fact and entertainment educational purposes only, and other people's views do not reflect my personal views. With that being said, we waive any liability and rights to anything on this channel being said directly, indirectly, assumed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. With that being said, oh, don't forget to check out blacksite32.com for all the goodies. Join the subscription service on there if you'd ever be so kind. There's also a donation page if you feel like your pockets need to be balanced a little bit and you want to throw something towards the cause. You can do it monthly on there. However, if you do want the members only videos and you want to support with monthly donations, that's when you go to my YouTube channel and make sure you click on the join button and then pick any level that works for you. And thank you in advance. With that being said, I will start the video or the reading. All right. Yeah, close the door here so you guys don't get all the background music. You know, as any good world diabolical leader, you got to have your classical music playing in the background. One of the reasons why I like classical because it doesn't have all the words; it's just pure frequencies, and usually they're based in the solfeggio music band, which helps to soothe the soul, helps to release endorphins, which helps keep you young and feeling energetic. It's uplifting, it's relaxing. So I highly recommend, even if you don't, it's not your thing, just sometimes just play on some Mozart or something. Just let it be in the background. You know, you don't have to pay attention to it. Because remember, if you guys don't know what they're how what frequency bands they're playing your radio on and whatever else, it's all to get you excited. And nothing can exist in an excited state forever unless you're probably God or something like that. But it that wears you down, that ages you. So they're playing music that ages you. They're civil engineering you to, be more promiscuous and to not care about yourselves and to be more taking, you know, drugs and this and that. And they're promoting that as cool. And I'm a burnout. Look how cool I am. It's not cool. It's really not. It's not at all. The same people that are behind the music are the same ones that are behind the same things that I'm teaching you guys to learn about right here. But it's your life. Do whatever you guys want to do. I'm just bringing this to your knowledge because they're playing with you guys on such a high level that the average person doesn't even know this. How do I know stuff like this? Because I went to school for electrical engineering, technology. I went to school and learned many of the different other crafts out there. So studied books on esoteric and energy, and I've seen some of these things in application. And this is what I study and research. I look up patents. Okay, you should be surprised what you can find out there in a patent search. That's all I'm going to say. But anyways, let's get to it. I digress. So once again, this particular video is about citizenship diversity or the diversity of citizenship. So let's go.
At its inception, all citizens in the American states were citizens of one of the states of the Union. Citizens generally called themselves citizens of their state unless traveling outside of
State
America.
citizens.
Any reference to being a citizen of the United States was a generic expression and had no legal application. Prior to the enactment of the 14th Amendment, the California Supreme Court discussed the issue of being a citizen of the United States and provided the following explanation.
Here we go.
Part Frank Knowles, July 1855, California Supreme Court. By metaphysical refinement, in examining the form of our government, it might be correctly said that there is no such thing as a citizen of the United States. But constant usage, arising from convenience, and perhaps necessity, and dating from the formation of the Confederacy, has given substantial existence to the idea which the term conveys. A citizen of any one of the states of the Union is held to be, and called a citizen of the United States, although technically and abstractly there is no such thing. The states had the power to naturalize foreigners, and there was no necessity for this power to be surrendered to the general government.
Initially.
Hence the necessity arose, not that Congress should have power to naturalize, but should have power to prescribe to the states a rule to be carried out by them, and which should be uniform in each. If this were not so, it follows conclusively that there is no mode by which a foreigner can be made expressly a citizen of a state, for I have already shown there is no such thing, technically as a citizen of the United States. Consequently, one who is created a citizen of the United States is certainly not made a citizen of any particular state. It follows that as it is only the citizens of the state who are entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens of the several states, if the process is left alone to the action of Congress through federal tribunals, and in the form which they have adopted, then a distinction both in name and privileges is made to exist between citizens of the United States ex six termini and citizens of the respective states. To the former no privileges or immunities are granted, and it will hardly be contended that political status can be derived by implication against express legal enactments. Ex part Frank Knowles, 5 calories, 300, 1855. Because each of the states of the Union has a separate sovereignty from that of the United States government, there are at least 2 types of citizenship.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Each state of the Union, being the organic, Florida State, Wisconsin State, California State, Republic of California, California Republic, however you want to look at it, that is in itself, though, depending on how you want to look at it, but nonetheless, it's sovereign. I don't really care for that word, but it is. Meaning it can stand on its own, but yet it is with all of us. It is a member. Now we're talking about different things here. When you talk about, say, Arkansas State, you're talking about the actual ground. Okay. And then there's the state of Arkansas, which is a corporation doing business on top of Arkansas State. Okay. So that's why it seems a little confusing to some peoples, because they fly the gold fringed flag inside where it's the corporation, essentially under maritime admiralty army law rules. Gold fringe flag information can be found under AR 840-10 under Army regulations, use of the gold flag. The one connected to the flagpole, and the flagpole itself connected to the actual ground, permanent mounted, that's America. That's why there's a 2 separate jurisdiction. That was given to me by a man by the name of Mr. Brody, who was a military guy and who used to be my scoutmaster back in the days. He's the person who basically got me started on this, God rest his soul. And it sounded so fantastic when he was telling me this, but as a decorated military officer, I was like, why would he lie about that? And then I found out he wasn't lying. And then I found out that a lot of other people out there just don't know. And then I found out that there's people above those people who serve us who do know and are lying and are against the United States of America. We the people. They're waging a war. that most people have no idea about against us. Now, we here are teaching constitutional law, private law, natural law, God's law, religious law. They operate in state law. And that state law is under the jurisdiction of the U.C.C. And then you need to go and find out where the originators and controllers of the U.C.C. come from to understand why then in their jurisdiction, the all capitalized name, which is Capitis Dimitio Maxima, or the topography of it is all uppercase, which is a legal person, why that's a thing. It's a very clever ruse. It literally took me a majority of my life to crack these codes, if you will. Well, all of it together, what I've done so far. That actual part, probably only 2 years, maybe 3 years of researching. They have it in bits and pieces in their books. And it is my understanding that a majority of them do not know this, they themselves. And even if they do know it, they're not going to give up the secret. They're not going to turn on the very people and industry and system that pays them. Because then what are they going to do? Do go private completely? Quite a poinky dink, quite a conundrum, if you will. So let's continue to go. So understand that they're saying that these organic states, see, what is a state? What is a state? See, you guys, a lot of you guys just think that when you hear the word state, it means, oh, well, that big area over there, and that's the only thing that can be a state. No, a state really only means legally something. It means a something. It can be state of mind. It can be matter. It can be people all together with the same basic ideas, constructs, rules, regulations, religious, non-religious. It's a state. So there's this state of Alaska, and there's Alaska State. Alaska State, if you're born in the area as a living person, then you're an Alaskan. But because of 8 U.S.C. 1101, 22A and B, you actually can choose to be a U.S. citizen. So if you're in the Alaska area as a national and state citizen or an Alaskan, which means everybody in all the states in private are Native Americans, but they give you a corporatized version of that name and of you, a doppelganger. And then because they all belong to the same overall group, the public, they make you a public person. They took you from the private, like the guy in the van with the candy, and said, oh, here, if you want these things, put on this invisible uniform, the all caps name in the zip code, two-digit abbreviation, and call yourself a resident now, a resident, because you left the Constitution for the United States of America and went to the state's Constitution. Now you're a member of the public, and you're looked at as a public trustee, even though that's not what you're supposed to be regarded as. But you kind of waived your rights in the moment. So you still have a private side. You just now you have to name it something different because they've tainted your natural given name and turned. That's why on your documents you see where it says legal name. That's why when you are called a U.S. citizen, so you went from being that Alaskan. That's why on your documents it says, what is your citizenship or whatever else? And there's a box that says other because you could have put in Alaskan. Now, some jobs like becoming a police officer, like my good friend out there, found out you can't be trying to exercise your privacy in their system when you're becoming an officer of the law or a lawyer or certain other things. You have to be the U.S. citizen because that's for the public, and the public is for U.S. citizens only, which are legally only supposed to be people, persons, corporations, and entities or individuals from the District of Columbia. But you have the right anywhere to become or to mask up and to operate yourself through the name, which is like a glove or a shield or a bodysuit, to reach in and touch the toxic waste or the dead world that they operate in. Everything that they do is death, and represented by the black, which is the ether. They're literally like a magician wearing black, like the judge. Will all rise. He's making the dead rise. You have been summoned. Who does summoning? Words are magic. Words are energy. That energy has effects on you. Most of the time, people don't even have to touch you to make you do something. They just tell you something and then you react and respond, sometimes controllably or uncontrollably. So you have the legal and lawful right to be regarded as a U.S. citizen. That's why, until they caught on, when we were sending letters as educational information only, High Department of State, and doing a FOIA request on our records, they were saying, we have no evidence that you are a U.S. citizen. Why were they saying that? Now they've legalized it to say, we can't find information that you are requesting. But at first, they were giving people letters directly responding to that question. Why couldn't they find that? Because you were not naturalized. People who come here were naturalized and they have a citizenship record, but they also get the nationality included with that they're not being told about. People born here like me and you, we have our natural national side and state citizen, which is basically synonymous to mean the same thing. Though state citizen means I'm trying to stay just loyal to the people in my area. New Yorker, Floridian, that kind of thing. So both sides can go either way, essentially. But a legal person is still yet just a legal person. It has similar rights, similar benefits, but not the same as a living person under the Constitution. But they can be regarded or looked as almost identical, but they're not. Almost means not quite the same. So they understood that at the time, this then meant that if there's a private side of the state, they can't govern the private people or private things. There's not even a law for them to talk about it. Most of them don't know about it, but yet some of them do. If you ask a police officer or a judge, hey, can I follow you home? Which I'm not saying do that, don't do that. I'm saying theoretically, and you talk to them, hey, are you in private capacity now that you're home? Well, yeah, I'm not here to, I'm not going to try your case. I'm not going to, go and arrest that criminal over there. I'm private. So they know there's a private side. And by all means, do not show up at any of their doors because you will just be, making them uncomfortable. And I don't want to see anybody get, into any sort of scenarios, no matter what that might be. So entertainment purposes only, just theoretical thoughts. So the whole thing is that the people are starting to wake, and I'm not going to go into specifics on certain things going on out there in the news, but there's a reason why certain things are happening is because people are waking up and people are getting tired and they're realizing that their rights are being infringed across the board. Now, here we do not condone any type of negativity, violence, anything whatsoever. We do not. So I always tell you, we're non-belligerents and non-combatants. In order for us to stand our ground as Americans, unless they start something, we're not going to start something, but we will get our rights. We will get our liberties and we will get our freedoms, and we are patriotic. And if somebody has a problem with the Constitution, well, then they've got a problem with the American people. And as far as I know, all of the three-letter agencies are out there to protect the American people from all threats, foreign and domestic. With that being said, you now can understand that there's actually more than two. There's like 5 or 6 different statuses and standings out there. Standing, when someone asks you, what is your status? What is your net? You could be saying my standing because you are standing on land, real land. A status is for a dead thing, an entity, and you are neither. So my standing is that I am a national of the United States of America. I'm also a state citizen. I'm also in the private sector. I'm also the Lord of Levitica, a private de jure micronation. I own many businesses, got lots of education, et cetera, et cetera. So, but also, as I'm all that, I also have a U.S. citizen side, whether I like it or not. Though I have officially renounced while retaining my position as the beneficiary and authorized agent who assumes no liability financially or physically for the all caps name, I can still wield it as I see fit. But I wanted to make a distinction that I'm keeping my nationality and my private side and my side as a ruler and lord over my micronation. But I am not to be directly as a living being regarded as that entity. I merely wield it. So you can choose between both. So let's go on. You cannot be both at the same time, because no matter what, you, the living person, are always the living, but you can be regarded by putting on that mask that you've been wearing since you were a child at any point in time. An entity will always be an entity. You are not ever the entity, but you can be looked at and regarded as such. It's no different than if I go into the bank. Hey, Mr. Lovett, how you doing today? Oh yeah. So which account are we going to deal with? Oh, we're going to deal with the business account. Okay. Let's see. In fact, all of them are really a type of business account. Even the one underneath my name, which was once a given private name, then legalized or corporatized or turned into a resident, a business trust of the state, which was created, handed over to me to use as a member of theirs. That's still not me. The name is spelled the same way. And this is why people have lost their cases in the lower and federal courts on the usage of a name, is because they didn't understand that the topography, the name is spelled right. The lettering is the correct lettering. However, the look of it changes it because it's conspicuous format, which is in U.C.C 1-201, conspicuous format under the definition section. That's the part you guys out there arguing your cases missed. Because on the state level, it's a different jurisdiction when it comes to the lettering. On the federal level, they don't care about that. They're under the Constitution. The state level's under the U.C.C. So you weren't arguing the correct points. That's why you guys lost. All right, so let's keep going.
Citizenship in America, state citizenship and United States citizenship. While most Americans readily and unwittingly claim to be United States citizens, the provisions of these two types of American citizenship are distinct from each other. The California Supreme Court stated it succinctly as follows. Tashiro versus Jordan, May 20th, 1927, California Supreme Court. That there is a citizenship of the United States and a citizenship of a state, and the privileges and immunities of one are not the same as the other is what.
So what they're saying here is the term citizenship of the United States means all of them out there. Federal citizen, state citizen, national, U.S. citizen, legal resident, legal alien, whatever else. Those are all the different types, and there's more of the various standings and statuses, citizenships, nationalities that are here. There's no longer just the one from the time of the forefathers when everybody was considered a state citizen. They had to broaden it because they didn't expect all these other things to occur. We later on got the federal state. We later on got the corporate states, state of. Then we've got it territories and nationals from over here and people immigrating.
Well established by the decisions of the courts of this country. Tashiro versus Jordan, 201 calories, 236.
Not calories, California, it abbreviated.
Citizenship is always tied to a sovereign government. Because the states of the Union are the fundamental political units in American society.
So what do they say? The states of the Union the federal side, are fundamentally political units, period. But they're in the American society. So they're essentially they're a sub party, but they're so big and they're corporate that they have push and pull and our American ways and values. Excuse me.
Society, the first and fundamental citizenship a person living in one of the states of the Union may have is with one state. The U.S. Supreme Court made it clear more than 60 years ago that state citizenship is the fundamental citizenship in America.
So there you have it.
Madden
Supreme Court made it clear 60 years ago. They were like, you guys are arguing about this? They're looking at it like the states are encroaching and trying to take over. Let's see, the Supreme Court cannot interfere, nor can the federal government, in anybody's private affairs unless they are denying somebody of their rights. Because clearly the states are out here being deceptive. See, we all thought it was the government. We all thought it was actively the three-letter agencies out there. But we'll say this, a lot of the states seem to have some pull in how they're deceiving some of these three-letter agencies to bother people out there. Now, some people shouldn't be bothered because they are doing some things wrong, but in general, they're using the system to cover up the deception that they're doing. Oh, these people are sovereigns, C word. No, well, some are, and those people should be stopped. The other people are just giving education. Other people want to see the patriotic side of America come back, the private side. So we have a choice. So we can stop feeding the DC beast so that our children and things are not taken arbitrarily for profit. Our brothers and sisters are not just locked up for minor infractions of a political system and then profited upon by wealthy people who own those private prisons, who've made agreements and contracts with certain entities, states, and ensuring them that a certain amount of people will be in there. Educational information only.
Madden versus Kentucky, January 29, 1940. U.S. Supreme Court. This position is that the Privileges and Immunities Clause protects all citizens against abridgment by states of rights of national citizenship as distinct from the fundamental or natural rights inherent in state citizenship. This court declared in the slaughterhouse cases that the 14th Amendment as well as the 13th and 15th were adopted to protect the Negroes in their freedom.
Whoa,
This almost
easy.
contemporaneous interpretation extended the benefits of the Privileges and Immunities Clause to other rights, which are inherent in national citizenship, but denied it to those which spring from state citizenship. Pages 90 to 91.
Told you guys.
4. The court has consistently refused to list completely the rights which are covered by the clause, though it has pointed out the type of rights protected. We think it quite clear that the right to carry out an incident to a trade, business, or calling such as the deposit of money in banks is not a privilege of national citizenship. pp. 92 to 93, 595. Bold added. Madden versus Kentucky, 309 U.S. 83, 84 L.ed. 590, 1940. Anthony Thomas, Buonaiuto. Sent with Proton Mail Secure Email. Lord Oriel.
Okay. So that was the end of that doc and information. Now, as always, guys, you guys can do what you want with the information, but essentially this is something that we've talked about more than once. Now you guys know. There are more than one status and standing going on here, and they're all underneath the term or broad term citizens of the United States. They put them all underneath. Supreme Court's already ruled on this. And the Supreme Court is the highest law in the land. Google it, ask it, search it, hit the law library, contact Cornell Law EDU and ask them. Why do you think they're so afraid of this old parchment? And they want to say, oh, that's under some common law stuff. We don't abide by that. That would be like going to your grandmother's house. Now maybe it's different today because there ain't really no grandmothers anymore. It's like there's like Gigi, you know what I mean? And she'd be looking like she's down to GILF, you know. Um, but in the old days, if you went by grandma's house, it didn't matter how old you were, didn't matter whatever you did. If grandma was like, "Yeah, that ain't happening," you got your butt whooped. Okay, so this is grandma right here, or grandpa, or you want to look at it. And all the rest of the stuff that they got going on, they can ignore this all they want because this gave them the ability to do their own private little thing with almost 100% impunity. But if anywhere in that little bubble of theirs, they deny you of your rights to travel, speech, whatever else. Denial of your rights as a national, isn't that 8 U.S.C. 1503, I think? You can go after them, but not as a belligerent or combatant and not physically. You go after them in the federal court. But at the same time, you must do your due diligence and have your things right and have the information to back yourself up. And if the federal government and any of the three-letter agencies out there, because I know a number of them watch my channel too, do not support the Constitution, then there's a problem and we need to go above them. And we will. So they have to do their job and protect us from threats, foreign and domestic. And if the states or any other corporation or entity or person tries to deny of your rights, then those agencies have to do their job. And if they don't, then the American people will have to inform them that their services are no longer required and they will be disbanded and reformed in the proper image and ways. That's all. Educationally speaking, because we have that power. But that can't happen until people wake up and realize this is the superior law here, other than God's law. States and their corporate interest are not bigger than that which gave them power. The creation cannot be bigger than the creator. All right, guys, that is it. That is it. That is it. You guys take care. Use information as you see fit. Use it wisely. Do not be a belligerent combatant. And I will talk to you guys later. I got more videos to do. And I'm going to try to go get some sun and maybe, you know, take a dip or something because it is hot in the city. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Enjoy yourselves. Peace.